So this piece is titled Why We Should Always Practice Accessibility. Let's talk about accessibility. I feel anger when I browse the website of the spa where I once worked. Pictured in the Thai massage caption is a white woman performing a Thai massage stretch. However, the description and the write up of the service show words that are my own words I had drafted. Yet nowhere in the picture is my small, petite, brown or golden body as an identifying practitioner of Southeast Asian descent performing the service. Instead, the photo for the service is of a white woman. The words are my own. And I worked at that spa for 4 years with photos of me providing that service on file. There are gracious pictures on the website of Black bodies in the community and private spaces, but the picture of the Asian body for the Asian service does not appear. Only the Asian's words to describe or sell the service. And okay, this gets kind of a long essay, so here we go. Continuing. When I practiced shiatsu and Thai massage as a private practitioner, I contracted a Thai woman ancestrally ordained to give Thai massage. She grew up in the culture of performing healing arts services freely for her family, her elders, her siblings. It was a culture she had grown up in. As a generous business owner, I gave her 80% of the fees of the service, plus her tips, using my platform, website, marketing, social media accounts, and email list contacts to expose her to the greater community. At the time, my colleague was in grad school, and the hourly rate for these services was a generous offer. But I was always grateful for her because I knew that, as I was complicit in culturally appropriating the healing art, she was someone who deserved all the proceeds. Amongst our colonial capitalist, cisgender, and ableist ideals of forcing licensure requirements by the state, often at exorbitant rates of time and energy that are inaccessible to people of ancestral practice. But let's talk about accessibility. When I worked at said spa, where the therapists don't come home with 80% of the listed service price, I was briefly part of a work group in spring of 2022 that focused on accessibility standards for the spa. We called it the Equity Work Group. Why would that be important? And here we go.
Bring it.
Why would a spa consider how someone in a wheelchair might receive massage therapy? Why would it be important to consider how somebody transgender should be guided to the locker rooms? How should they be addressed? Why would it be important to consider what pronouns and what names might be used in an intake form? Why might it be important to consider how someone of Black skin and hair is guided through services and oils that might not be the best for their skin and hair types? Why might it be important to consider how to drape a bigger body who might require more than one towel and might require an XXL bathrobe? It's important because it teaches accessibility, but importantly, it teaches collective care. It teaches collective liberation. It teaches that luxury services and healing arts and centers for bringing care to the forefront of conversation are also places that can put elitism and classism to the side. Accessibility is important because we understand that in order to help our children, we're looking out for all children.
Mm.
So, the danger of articles titled The Trap of Accessibility is that we gently remove a greater conversation piece from our businesses. We're centering not a conversation on caring for all. Instead, we are centering care for ourselves, which is good as and well if it allows us to be of service. The danger is that it also minimizes those who may also stand the greatest chance to step into the transformation that you want to offer and to heal. Care for all doesn't have to come at our own self extraction because it is a practice. In our capitalist culture, we are taught that we should always get more for less. We are accustomed to seeing the wealthy profit more and those unresourced suffering increasingly if we're not globally eradicating their bloodlines or their lands. We are accustomed to saying we shouldn't race to the bottom. But why don't we, for once, consider that those at the bottom are the ones most deserving of the most loving care and attention, and equally deserving of high ticket transformation? I think when
Mhm.
we start saying, I don't serve your kind here, it's starting on the verge of exclusion, and it's starting on the verge of perpetuating oppression. To do away with the system, we have to acknowledge that it is built on the backs of others who don't deserve the suffering they go through or have historically gone through. No one deserves to be bought or chained. No one deserves to have their homes blown up or their land stolen. Turning down others might have the noble intention of boundaries and self respect, resourcing, and capacity, but it sits at a dangerous precipice. When we gently put othering aside or invisibilize it, we are once again corroborating the story we are sold that capitalism is the only way.
Mhm.
So, what is the
Please
solution?
keep writing about this.
Oh
Please
my
keep
God.
writing about
Oh
this.
my God. It will probably keep going on. Continuing, where are we in what is the solution? It starts by saying we can have both accessibility and abundance. It starts by saying that while collective care and collective liberation and our ongoing thoughts for collective care are inconvenient, we voluntarily undergo the inconvenience because we are changing hands from an oppression centered format to an anti oppressive format. We are saying we're not shaming you for having the body you have. We're not shaming you for having the gender you have. We're not shaming you for having the pronouns or the name that you have. We're not shaming you for having the skin or the hair that you have. We're not shaming you for the love that you have. We're not shaming you for the wallet that you have. You are welcomed here too. Let's find a way to let collective care for you.
Nice.
Let's start opening our minds to the solutions of new designs and keep the conversation going. Practically speaking, what this looks like is planting the seeds of a collective care centered business or a generous business. We can talk more about this another day, but for now, the simplest solutions I've seen in practice involve having a pay it forward rate to supplement rates for those in need.
Mm.
It's based
Mm.
on the ideology that everyone deserves healing. And I'm going to link to an acupuncturist's website for more information.
You've sent me that one. Cool.
Yeah. Um, her clinic is in Minneapolis, and she does reference, right, the Black liberation movement as being part of the acupuncture, community acupuncture model.
Yeah.
Um, where was I? So I'll link to that for more information. It also involves scrutinizing, studying, and investigating businesses that make this work. As a small example, I work in a web design agency where I see that there are people and organizations who approach us five-figure websites. And then there are also people spending $0 a month or $18 a month for their hosting because they might need a sliding scale rate for some amount of time until they can pay at the standard rate. Generosity, like water in a permaculture garden, can spread, slow, and sink. I am no expert, but I know that there is another way. There are likely countless other ways. When it comes to the spa, I mentioned at the beginning, there is a part of me that is ashamed. Shame isn't really the right word, but it is lamentable that the equity work group didn't carry on. All of us had such high ideals in the 2020 wake of BLM and reform on the level of collective awareness, anti Asian hate. There was some progress, but we've seen now that we obviously didn't carry through to what collective liberation really looks like and what anti oppression really looks like. Not for the US, and certainly not on a global level. The narrative of the global North colonizing the global South continues. There is a great amount of suffering and toll at this moment, which feels like a tower moment before the rebuilding threshold times. It's time to keep actions and regards for collective care going. In our 2022 forming of the leadership group, we proclaimed ourselves as focused on and devoted to equity and inclusion. We came together to look at equity within the spa environment, aiming to maintain our ideals through monthly meetings, trainings, working with consultants, implementing organizational standards, an equity report, a staff book club, and many ongoing projects. We charged ourselves as a group committed to continuously learning while holding ourselves, the business, and individuals accountable. It's lamentable or regrettable, again, that to my knowledge, this group no longer exists. But the seeds of the conversation were what prompted me to start the Equitable Wellness podcast. While I'm currently taking a break, I'm convincing myself now that the conversation must go forward and that there must be a season 2. Please contact me if you want your voice in liberation work to be heard. This is the old statement I had drafted about what we believe, which I admit is so 2022. If you still believe in this, I invite you forward. What we believe. We believe in establishing and maintaining an equitable environment at the spa in which the community, including staff and clients, feel respected and valued. Our group firmly believes in taking action to address, counter, and minimize inequities caused by political and socioeconomic issues, including racism, white supremacy, patriarchy, and body-based oppression. We want to create the most welcome environment for community members of all ages, races, gender identities, abilities, socioeconomic status, sexual orientations, languages, national origins, lived experiences, and all other aspects of diverse identities. So the asterisk for body-based oppression, what is that? Body-based oppression includes, but is not limited to, the following: ableism, ageism, sexism, homophobia, transphobia, fatphobia, racism, and discrimination and microaggressions against communities such as LGBTQIA+, people of color, Black, Indigenous, Latinx, Asian, Pacific Islander, Middle Eastern, multiracial, and international communities, gender identities and expression, religious groups, individuals with mental or physical health challenges, people with disabilities, neurodivergent communities, and the intersectionality for all of the above. I think to myself now in 2026, why should classism be excluded from this list? Why should poverty be excluded from this list?
Nice. I love it. Yes, please keep writing. My first response is you said,
Wait, could you say
yeah,
that
yeah,
again, Megan? What did you
yeah.
say?
Absolutely. I was really caught by the comment or the part of your writing where you said accessibility and abundance can coexist, when I think they're one and the same. Accessibility is abundance and abundance is accessibility. Um, and they're practically synonyms, for me, because literally if you're providing access, you're welcoming more diversity and more thought into the space that you are allowing access to. So it's overall, I really, really, really appreciate your writing on this topic. And I'd forgotten that you did that work with the group that you were in. I don't think I read too much about it, or we didn't discuss it much at the time. But I totally, totally see the through line to what you're doing now. And I'm just so grateful. Because even as like I'm starting to dive into all of the massage therapy content creators on LinkedIn, nobody's discussing anything like this. They're not, they're stuck in very important topics, but very, still totally grounded in capitalism, still like they're doing good work, but it's still like this coming from the white woman massage therapist perspective, or the white man perspective in massage therapy, which are valuable, but they are only one category of us. And I don't think that I have not gotten the impression that many of them are even thinking about these topics in the way that you are. So I know LinkedIn is LinkedIn, But that is another place where I'm more than happy to share your work there and maybe get conversations going. I don't know. But it really needs to be happening because me doing the work that I'm doing here, like very early on in even just my licensure, but maybe when I was still a student before I got my license, I was becoming deeply concerned about how to serve both. You and I have talked about this, how to serve both the tourist who brings the money for the whole town, not just massage therapy, but all the people who the tourists rely on for their food, their cleaning, their bullshit while they're here, their bullshit with sparkles on it, like those really. And it's not to say we have great tourist experiences here in Taos, of course, but like it was very clear to me, especially in entering my first spa gig, that the space between what we can charge a tourist versus what the locals can afford it's insurmountable. Like the folks here are used to their $40 massages, like $40 1 hour massages, like, and I hate being able to say that I can't do that. And I did, and actually I have done that. I don't know if I've gone down to 50. I've gone down to 50. But that discrepancy is really, really, really important, and especially where you key in on who, from our perspective, who might be more deserving. Is it the people who rush in with money to take advantage and possibly extract and exploit a tiny little town like Taos and what we have to offer? Or is it the people who keep the town moving and growing and changing and holding on to the very much Taoseño and Taos Pueblo beliefs and practices and livelihoods? Um, for me, that's a no-brainer. Like, I don't care about the Austinite who's coming in for a vacation or the Instagrammer influencer. I'm gonna take that happy paycheck, but I'm gonna make sure that it makes it easier for me to serve the people who are here 24/7. Like, it's just not even a question.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stop the recording.